Okay, so this is a DT175 Yamaha, and it's the same motorcycle as a DT125 with a bigger cylinder. I think all or almost all the other parts are the same, including the carburetor, just the jetting is different. And so I want to change the jetting on this to lean it out a little bit because I'm at a high elevation here, 6,000 feet or 2,000 meters. And so I'm not going to take this one off. I have another one that I want to do a full disassembly on first, so that I can make sure when I put it back together, everything's exactly the same. Okay, so this is a brand new, straight from Yamaha, has not been taken apart before. And that's the part number if you need to order one. They still make these motorcycles new, even though the design is, I don't know from when, the 80s I guess, but they're still making them exactly the same way as far as I can tell. So this is the slide for the throttle, just in here, and there's a bunch of little passageways for air. I think this is the air screw. I'm not an expert on this, I just know the basics, I guess. And this you can use to set the idle. I don't know exactly what the proper term for it is. And this is the choke. So out is put the choke on, in put the choke off. This little spot here is where the oil, because that motorcycle's got an automatic oiler on it. So this is where the two-stroke oil comes in from the pump. And this is the fuel from the gas tank. And this one, I think it's a vacuum line that goes to the petcock under the gas tank. It has a vacuum activated fuel petcock under the gas tank. So it only opens when the engine is running. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is take off the float. This is the float bowl. I want to take that off, and these screws are they're soft and they're really easy to mess up every part of them, the head or the threads, everything. The whole thing is soft. This is some kind of cast zinc stuff. So anyways, they look like a Phillips, right? But apparently they're not. They're something called JIS, which I think is Japanese Industrial Standard. And so a Phillips will work, but it's easy to mess up the threads with a Phillips. I mean, it's easy to mess up the head of the screw with a Phillips. So it's better if you can use the JIS if you can get it. And it's available from this company, Vessel. You can get them on Amazon for not too much money. Yeah. So let's see if we can get this off without messing anything up. You want to push pretty hard when you're trying to unscrew it. Okay, that one came out easy enough. And they're not that tight, so when you put it back together, don't overdo it. They're not that tight. They have a little lock washer underneath. You can see just here, there's a little lock washer. So they don't need to be that tight when you put it back together. I made a mistake on the one that's on there. I over tightened it and I bent one of the screws. So don't do it. The screws are all the same, so you don't have to keep track of which one goes where. Oh, you see, this is why I'm videoing it. You see this little guy was here, right? So when you go putting it back together, You're not sure, did it go in this one, did it go in that one? You know, that's where the video is helpful. All right, so this should come off without too much effort. I saw, I've seen what people will do is they tap the float bowl to loosen the seal. It makes sense because there's like a little gasket in between the body of the carburetor and the, it's pretty stuck. I don't see that doing anything, the way it's kind of glued on there. I don't think so. Nothing at all. I mean, that's how it goes. You think you're going to do something and then it takes forever. I don't think so. I don't think it did. Oh, it did. It worked. Okay, so let me just show you what I did before this thing comes apart so that maybe it will help you. All right. So I set it down on this face here, like this, and pressed it down real firm with my hand, and then like tap 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 with the corner of the mallet, tap tap tap, pretty firmly, not too hard, not big swings, just tap tap tap. But it, you know, it made a little ring here, so I was beating on it a bit. All right. So now this is the part I wanted to get to all along. After an hour, then I pried with a screwdriver between the body of the carburetor and this molding flash line here, and that was enough to get it to finally come loose. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. Okay, so that's the float bowl. And these are the floats, and this is the part I wanted to make sure I capture well. All right, so there's a pin here that holds the floats in, all right? And they're kind of like upside down, kind of like the floaty part is above the bar that holds them into place. And you can just tap this pin out like that with your finger. Like if once it's it sticks out a little past either end, so you kind of get it started and then give it a little whack, and then it'll give you enough to grab onto. Now, all this stuff is super delicate, as you can see. It's just like little pieces of sheet metal, so you got to be real careful with it. You don't want to get any dust or pieces of wood, splinters in there, because the passages in the carburetor are tiny and they plug easily. Okay, so pull this out, set that over here. Now you'll see there's a little thing dangling on it down there, right? Okay, and I don't know if it matters, but it troubled me when I took it apart, the other one. But you'll see that the spring that holds the needle valve, these little bumps where it hooks on to the needle valve are facing the outside of the carburetor. And when I took it apart last time, you know, it all kind of came out, and I wasn't sure which way it went back together. So I just put it back together any which way. But that's how it comes from the factory, is like that, if it matters, which I don't know if it does or not. So let me just set this guy over here. You got to be really careful with all these little pieces. All right, and so this is the main jet. You might not be able to see that, but that's a 170. And the pilot jet is down in there, and that's a 20. And I already replaced that with a 17.5. It's a bit nerve-wracking getting that little tiny brass pilot jet out of there. And what I ended up doing was I had a cheap screwdriver, and it didn't fit because, you know, the screwdrivers are usually like, they like flare out a bit. Like you see how it's narrow at the tip and then it flares out back to round. So what I did was I filed off both sides of this so it fit down in that hole, like right there, you see? So that's what I did. Okay, but I don't want to actually take this apart any further right now. I just wanted to see how that needle sits, and so I'm going to go ahead and plop that right back in there the way it came. With the little nubs facing the outside, apparently. And the floaty thing, you know what, I might have to do those together because I don't think I can get that back in there without it. So the little nubs go to the back, hook that down over there, dangle it down into that hole, set that like that, get this pin, line it back up where it belongs. Yeah, there we go. And then there's nothing that holds that pin in place, just the shape of the float bowl keeps it from coming out. Like you see, it'll capture that pin. And that's it for the bottom. So now I'm going to put this guy back together after all that effort. Oh yeah, so with these screws, you want to go around. Don't do one only all the way tight. Go around, do them on like the opposite diagonals so that it tightens down in a balanced way, you know? And they don't need to be too tight. Just like that is enough. Just enough to flatten down the lock washers. Nothing much more. And if you can get the right kind of screwdriver, this JIS, it'll go a lot easier. It really holds better on the screw head. The difference is something in the taper of the screwdriver, I guess. All right, so then the other thing you can take off is the top. Where the throttle cable would come in. I don't have the throttle cable hooked up on this one because it's not on the motorcycle. It has like a funny little, okay, this is spring loaded, so when you get it off, just be mindful. There it is. Okay, so the throttle cable comes down through that little hole, and then there's a little, like, washer plate thing, this thing, that holds on to it. It's got like a cable end. Okay, this thing is delicate too. This is the needle valve, or needle something, I don't know. And that's the slide. Okay, so you'll put the little fat part of the throttle cable through that keyhole, then down underneath. Then this thing pops down to kind of lock it into place like that. You see that? Then the spring goes on top. The needle valve, the needle valve, I don't know. The needle goes underneath. You see it's got a little depression to hold it, And then this is the clip to set the needle at different heights. Yeah, like that, that's it. Oop. And then you go. Drop this guy in. This goes. This goes. There's a rubber washer around that top of that. Okay, and then this has a slot that fits onto a little peg down in there. You see that little peg down there? So this slot is supposed to fit onto that. Yep. And then this guy comes down on top. And that's it. Now I think, I don't remember. Yeah, this can rotate. So if you don't have the throttle cable lined up just right, it doesn't matter, this rotates. Yeah, and this guy goes down on top of there. And then these threads are pretty fine, so take your time making sure they're lined up before you put together, especially if you're trying to do it on the motorcycle where you're cramped up. And just tighten that down, not too much. It'll get stuck like the other thing, and then you'll be fighting with it, trying to get it open. I think I had to use a pair of pliers to get it open on the other one the first time. So, yeah, I mean, that's it. The rest of it, I'm not an expert anyways. Go read about it. Go read about the air screw, the idle screw, and the jets, and how to adjust this and that. I'm just guessing myself, so I'm not going to give any advice. But that's the carburetor, and maybe if you drop your parts all over the floor, that'll help you a little bit to see how it's supposed to be assembled when it's brand new. Yep.